Hey everybody, it's the Doll Boy, and today I'm back with a limited edition Disney doll reroute. In today's video, I'm gonna give a complete new and reimagined look to my Kida doll from Atlantis. In my Disney doll haul that I posted in February, I already unboxed and showed you the doll in quite a lot of detail, and I still think she's absolutely beautiful, and I love those golden accessories she comes with. For her hair situation, I actually really liked her original hair a lot already, and I feel like they definitely nailed those bangs. But I was super inspired by Kaya's dolls on Instagram when I saw that they rerouted Kida with white twists. I really like the fact that they gave their Kida doll a protective style because I felt like that was so fitting for the character. I did really want to give my own spin to it and make some tweaks to make her super doll boy ready. That's why I went online and searched for the perfect white or silver mini braids, and I found these beautiful pure white micro braids in the color Angel from Shimmerlocks.com. They carry these braids in so many different colors, in natural colors like blonde, ginger, several shades of browns and blacks, to more crazy colors like purple, blue and pink. Shimmerlocks has a full website of rerouting tools and rerouting hair, and they carry so many different colors and textures as well. So make sure to check them out if you want to order some reroot hair for your own projects. Shimmerlocks was so kind and sent me some packs of their white braids for free. I honestly love the texture of these braids and they flow so well. And I'm so excited to reroute my Kida doll with this hair. Before I do that though, since I'm gonna cut her hair anyways, I really wanted to give her those iconic choppy layers that she has in the movie, since it'll all be gone anyways. I simply chopped away to get this look that I think is pretty close to the movie. Then I just cut all the hair off as short as I possibly can, boil some water, and dip the doll's head in that hot water to soften up the plastic of the head, because that really helps to take off the head from the body, which honestly for Kida was still a big challenge. While that head is soft, I also pull out that one earring, and then I take my forceps pliers to scrape the inside of the doll's head to pull that leftover hair to the inside. With this step, I'm super careful not to scrape the front of the face, because you will also pull those rooted lashes to the inside if you're not careful enough. Then as always, I open my forceps pliers and enter the neck hole to actually get rid of all that leftover hair and get the entire head super clean and empty. Then to give Kida's hair some extra dimension, I did not just want to reroute the hair with only white braids. That's why I bought some RIT all-purpose dye in pearl gray, add that to a bowl of boiling water, and dip in one of the braids to test out what that does to the color. And this came out as a very subtle light gray. On the bottle, it suggested to add vinegar when you're trying to dye nylon hair, and after doing that, the light gray got a little more intense. Here you've got a side-by-side of the pure white RIT dye with only boiling water, and the RIT dye with boiling water and vinegar. I actually was pretty happy with the outcome of the vinegar mixture, so I decided to dye about a quarter of the braids that I had this light gray color. Then I also took a couple of these dyed braids and dyed them again to get a slightly darker gray color to get even more dimension in the hair. And once I've reached my ideal color blend for these braids, it's time to actually start the reroute. For this, I'm actually using the knot method on the hairline And since these braids are super long, I can cut them in half for the knot method and still achieve a floor length look. Then I simply take a thick needle, feed one of the braids in that needle, and push the needle through one of the holes on the hairline. And I use my finger protector for this because it hurts so much when I try to do it without one. I then use my force pliers to pull out that needle on the inside of the head, create a double knot on the end of the braid, and then pull it back out so that double knot is on the inside of the head. And then I keep doing this for the rest of the hairline. For this reroot, I was really unsure if I should keep one hole open in between each braid or if I should just fill the entire hairline with braids, and I ended up filling every single hole in the hairline, and that actually worked out pretty well for me. Then after completely finishing the back hairline, I did want to put some glue on those thicker holes on the top of her head, where her bangs and partline were originally rooted. For this, as I've been doing in my previous videos, I'm using liquid fusion glue, applying that to the areas where it's needed, and then spread it out with a Q-tip, let it dry for a few hours, and apply a second and third coat. Once that last coat has dried for 24 hours, I can continue rooting the rest of the hairline. Then for the partline, my vision for Kida was actually to have her with a sleek middle part. Since I glued the original partline shut, I'm creating new holes that are slightly further apart than the original hair because I'm working with braids. To create the new holes, I'm taking my force pliers again, this time holding a regular thick needle, pushing that in the plastic of her head to get the new holes. Then to root the partline, I'm simply taking one of the full-length braids, folding it in the middle, picking that up with my reroot tool, and then pushing it in the head. This way one end of the braid can go to the left side and the other can go to the right. To get this partline as neat as possible, I actually noticed that it's much prettier if you hold your reroot tool in the same direction as the partline, meaning that the tooth of that needle are going from front to back instead of going from left to right like I normally would like to reroot. This has everything to do with the fact that we're handling braids, and if you hold the needle from front to back, the braid will be laying from left to right, which gives the best result for the partline. And then, after filling the complete hairline and partline with the white braids and a few light gray lowlights, I go all the way around that with the darker gray lowlights. This makes sure the color pops show up well, but still give a very blended look. For the inside of the head, I simply used my reroot tool and always kept a few holes in between each braid to avoid it from becoming too thick. The process of rerooting with these mini braids from Shimmerlocks is honestly such a nice and easy process that I was even able to reroot quite a bit on the train. And the fact that this is so mess-free made me enjoy this reroot process so much more. Then after filling it as much as I wanted, I add my Fabric glue to the inside of the head and swirl a Q-tip around to get the glue nice and even on the inside. And from the 6 ounces, which is about 170 grams, I add 50 grams left over, which is about 1.7 ounce. Then after the glue dried, I was able to put Kida's head back on her body. I really loved how long Kida's braids were, but I did decide to cut quite a bit of the length off to keep it around ankle length. With that leftover hair, I really wanted to make clip-in bangs for her, because of course I cannot do a Kida without her iconic bangs. For this, I take a thin white ribbon, take some of that shorter braids that I just got off, and knot them to that ribbon. As you can see, those knots slipped out immediately, so I also keep my straightener on and press down the knots as I go, because that keeps it in place super well. Then you can just have the doll wear that ribbon as a headband and cut the bangs however you want. For me, obviously I kept that middle very long to mimic Kida's iconic bang shape. Then to avoid these braids from getting unraveled, I add a tiny bit of Mod Podge to each of these ends, which seals them in place very nicely. And as you can see, now I have my Kida with the option of wearing her hair in two completely different looks. And I really hope you like the end result of this extreme makeover. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more of my doll videos. Make sure to comment down below which look for Kida is your favorite, the super sleek middle part or the iconic bangs. And then to see more looks of my dolls, make sure to also follow me on Instagram and TikTok @TheDollBoy. See you next time!